Okay, on the first part of this homework for task 4, I could see you getting confused with this vocabulary up here. So you really need to look at your notes and decide what the definition of the words are. So if it's adjacent, that means they're angles that are next to each other and share a side. Complementary means they add up to 90. So draw angles that are side by side next to each other that add up to 90 degrees. One angle has to be 42 degrees. Non-adjacent means they would not be touching, and this time they add up to 180. Complementary would be adding up to 90. Okay, so two angles that are not touching that add up to 180 degrees. Congruent means they have to be equal, and linear pair means they have to be a straight line, two angles that form a straight line, and that are next to each other and are adjacent. Vertical angles, we talked about in class, are the angles that are opposite from each other, and they each should equal 42. Okay, so let's go down to some of these examples down here. You do not want to mix the x's and the y's. So you're going to be setting up two separate equations. So first look at the x equations, and what's the relationship between this x equation and this x equation? So obviously if they are vertical, they're opposite, then that means they are the same. So to get started on this problem, I would set up the 13x plus 9 and set that equal to the other side, which is 15x minus 1. Then you need to go through and solve for x and do the same thing with the y value, the y equation. So you know that these two opposite angles are also equal to each other. So do the same thing and solve for y. But now we come over here to this problem and we look at the two x angles and we realize they're next to each other, they're forming a linear pair. We know that a linear pair has to add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so clearly these two angles are not equal to each other, but the two angles should add up to equal 180 degrees. So in this time, I'm going to take 4x plus 10 and add that together with the 13x. And all of that should add up to 180 degrees. Then you go through, solve for x, and do the same thing and solve for y. So in each problem, you should be solving for x and for y. I'm showing you how to set up for x in this picture diagram, and then you can do the same thing for y. I'm showing you how to set up for x in this diagram, since they're a linear pair, solve for x, and do the same thing for y. Then you guys can figure out how to do these two down there with these examples.